everyone. I hope you enjoyed yesterday's video about sleep and you were able to find at least one of those recommendations that you can try to instill. You never want to try to do all of those things at once, just like with any change in your life. If you try to do too much at one time, it becomes really overwhelming and you find that you want to give up quicker. So, today we're going to talk about habit number 3 in the 7 habits of healthy people. And today's habit is physical health. And so, we're going to talk about the ways that physical health can impact your mental health and then your overall well being as well. So, if we think about the overall, like the big picture, let me move my head because it's not letting me click this button. Also, I have some good news to share. So, I applied for the activities director position at Issaquah High, who oversees like the ASB, assemblies, dances, clubs, activities, all that kind of jazz, student life stuff. And I got the job. So, next year, I'll be stepping into a new role. I'll still be at IHS, which is wonderful. And I'll still teach a section of social psych. So, I'll still be in the classroom a little bit, but a lot of my time will be spent trying to improve the campus environment and student life overall. So, if you have suggestions and ideas for ways to make IHS a more exciting place to be, a more engaging place to be, you let me know and I will get right on it. Okay, now let's see if I can get there we go. Okay, so big picture. As we think about overall, how do we think that mental health can help us, or excuse me, not mental health, physical activity can help us be happier people? We see that there's been a lot of research done, and this has been a long time that research has been happening in this area. It's not just new, but there's a close connection between our mind and bodies. And even way, way back when early philosophers and thinkers were thinking about this connection between our brains and our bodies. There's 4 key areas that I'm going to cover today, and you'll get an assignment related to one of them, and that's exercise, nutrition, sunlight, and sleep. And overall, we found that there's a big connection between these 4 areas and lower cases of depression and lower incidences of anxiety. So, if you are someone who's currently experiencing anxiety, depression, grief, any of those types of feelings right now during this really stressful, kind of chaotic, uncertain time, hopefully one of these 4 areas and you looking into one of them and me talking about them can help you in some way. And even if you're not, if these things come up later in your life, you'll have this in your toolkit to know how to maybe help yourself through some of those things. Okay, so I'm going to talk about 4 examples, and I'll give the preface that the pictures are from a trip I took to northern Nevada last summer with my best friend Garrett. And so you'll notice that they all look pretty similar in the setting. But I want to give you kind of a brief intro to each of the areas so that you can decide which one you want to read about. Each of the readings is pretty short, probably like a paragraph or two. Okay, maybe that's not true. Maybe like a page. You probably have like one scroll on your laptop, if that makes sense, or less. But they're pretty short and simple and just give you a good idea of how each of those areas impacts our health. So the first one is exercise. Okay, and when we talk about exercise, there is a difference between exercise and physical activity. Okay, so exercise is something that's planned, coordinated, right, monitored, measured, whereas physical activity is really broad category. So you taking a walk and just kind of walking, moving, being active doesn't necessarily fit under exercise, but it does fit under physical activity. And we know that physical activity releases endorphins, which are also known as feel good chemicals. So they boost our mood, they boost our sense of well being, how we feel about ourselves. And so you actually get that direct impact to your mood just by working out or just by being physically active. So if this time is causing you to stay in bed a lot or sit on the couch a lot, and I know they're like stay at home, stay in quarantine, but that doesn't mean you can't go out. Like if you have a backyard, you can go just move around there. If you have a street out the front of you, you can move around there. Even if you live in an apartment complex, right? Just walk up and down the sidewalks or just being active in your home also can count. If you find yourself sitting a lot, just every now and then try to get up and move. You can do, my sisters and I used to do like, gosh, what are those called? Jumping jacks. We used to do jumping jacks when we were watching TV. We'd take a break because our PE teachers in elementary said to get active while you're watching TV or do push ups or sit ups for every commercial, right? Something like that. Just a way to stay fresh and keep yourself in motion. Um, There's a really good way. So that's kind of an intro to what you'll read about in the exercise category. And that picture, I don't even know where we were, but we drove out on this road and it was really far. It was very sunny, as you can see, but there was this huge like sand hill. I'm like, what kind of place has a hill of sand? Like I don't get it. There wasn't a beach, there wasn't like water near us. It was just a huge pile of sand. It was hot, there was red ants. However, it was kind of cool because it was something new and different. And for me not being from there, I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. And so that's a picture of me sitting in it in that huge, huge sand pile. That took a lot of physical activity, like to get up that and sand like shifts. So I'm like fighting against the sand. But it was fun and it was really cool to spend that time there. Nutrition, what you eat. Okay, so this one talks about food and what we intake. The research study that I chose was about sugar. And did you know that sugar causes our brain to release dopamine, which is another feel good neurotransmitter? We talked about this in Nature Nurture. But also, it has similar brain impacts to cocaine in its addictive qualities. And so that's why a lot of times when you're stressed, you might crave sugar because your body knows that it can have that automatic boost and that release. And it is pretty addictive. And the research has shown that what it does to your brain is the same thing that cocaine does to your brain. And we haven't gotten to drugs yet in Nature Nurture, but we'll hopefully get there soon. And if not, I'll do a video about it because I think it's really fascinating to learn about drugs impacts, but also things like coffee and sugar and how those mimic and replicate the activities that drugs do. This is a picture. I don't even know what this gas station was called. It was small. It was a little, I don't want to say janky, maybe sketchy. It was like a wooden roof. However, you all, let me tell you, best ice cream I've ever had. And I'm lactose intolerant, so I don't even like. I stay away from ice cream. I've got some Ben and Jerry's like dairy-free ice cream. One of them is made with, oh, I'm gonna forget. There's like one with coconut, no, almond milk, and then there's another one with sunflower butter. Pretty good, the sunflower butter. Nonetheless, delicious, amazing ice cream, sugar in there. I still think about that ice cream cone. I will be going back there probably this summer once this is all over, or maybe next, because that was just an amazing ice cream cone. But there's my example for sugar and nutrition. And I'm not saying you should eat a bunch of ice cream. That's not what this photo is suggesting. Hopefully, those of you who read the nutrition section learned that, like, oh, maybe I should cut back a little if you're consuming a lot. Sunlight! Okay, so I bet you've all heard about vitamin D and how people in Washington are vitamin D deficient. And research from 2014 found that sunlight and the impact it has on our body is comparable to antidepressant medications. And that's a pretty significant finding, right? If you think about, oh, do I want to medicate? Do I want to have this kind of intrusive thing in my body? Do I want to stay on the schedule? Or I just want to go get exposure to sunlight and I have the same exact benefits that antidepressant medications could have. And if you've ever heard of SAD or seasonal affective disorder, that actually can be remedied by sunlight. And they say it's like you should have early exposure to bright lights or early in the day can really help create or help impact some of those symptoms. And so that's something to think about, and I'm sure you'll read about in um, the reading for sunlight. But they say people in Washington really deal with that like seasonal depression, where in the wintertime when it's really overcast and we don't get a lot of sun and we're not producing a lot of vitamin D, that's why they have supplements and there's other things you can do to get vitamin D as well. And there's me, Lake Tahoe. What a cool place. Did you know Lake Tahoe is in like two different states, Nevada and California? And you could swim across and like we could see the California side from where we were. I thought that was so amazing. And there I am drinking a nice little smoothie with a little umbrella. It was so fun. What a good time. Like I felt so good there. And maybe it was because of sunlight, because it was just a great time. And we weren't doing any of what people were doing back there, but we did get in the water and we had a good time and it was just a really cool trip. Last but not least, my favorite, sleep. So, sleep can improve memory retention and learning new tasks. I wonder when this would be helpful. Oh my goodness, maybe during school. So when you all are not getting sleep, you are impacting your ability to remember the things you're learning in class. And when you're trying to learn new skills and learn new things, that's being negatively impacted by your lack of sleep. We've also found from 2007 that sleep has a negative impact on family problems, school troubles, physical problems, and depressive symptoms. So those are all things that we do not want. And even if they exist, lack of sleep can exacerbate those issues. So you want to be sure to think about, okay, as I think about sleeping and eating and these common things I do day to day, there's a really major, big impact on your brain. Those tasks are not just for energy and recharging, but they actually kind of keep us going and they can have a lot of positive benefits to us if we do it right. There I am. Garrett caught that photo. I don't even remember where we were coming from. I think that was right before I was going to leave. And I had a little snooze. And for some reason, I need like, it's probably because the light thing I talked about yesterday, where when the light comes in, the supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, that's right, the SCN, suprachiasmatic nucleus, when it sees light, it triggers the process, or when it sees light, it stops triggering the process for melatonin production. And then when it does not see light, it's like, okay, you can start producing melatonin, go night night. So I needed that block out in this photo. Oh, excuse me. All right, so here's today's task. I want you to pick one of the 4 areas, either exercise, nutrition, sunlight, or sleep. I'm going to put the link below to the site where you can see. It's similar to the site you've seen before. Use the link in the description. Click on one of the boxes. So there's a box for exercise, nutrition, sunlight, and sleep. And read about the research and practical tips. And then I want you to create a mini action plan. This doesn't need to be extensive. It's just something that's like, I will try this for how you might change your habits based on the research in the area. So I'm not saying how you have to change your habits, and you may not need to. What I want you to do is to respond to the research that you see in your chosen area and say how that might impact the way that you live and the things that you do on a day to day basis. Now, I'm sensitive to the fact that this is a really unique time in our lives where so much of our daily routine has been disrupted that this might be hard. So don't feel pressured to like try to address every area. I know some of you are real overachievers and you might want to read all 4 of the areas and make all the changes. Don't do that. Pick one area, pick one change that you want to attempt, but if you don't succeed, don't hold yourself like accountable. Don't feel bad, right? This is a test. This is just something to like experiment with, and maybe once we get back on regular functioning, then you can try to maybe tackle a little more. But just be graceful with yourself with all of this, right? With all of your classes as Issaquah moves to phase 2 of where we are assigning work and work. I believe it might be graded. So there's a lot to that, but we're upping what our online presence looks like. Be graceful, right? Don't pressure yourself. Don't feel bad. I'm sure that teachers here are going to be understanding and they're going to be flexible with you. Just make sure you communicate that because we know that this is a really difficult time and circumstances are so different from house to house that we're not going to try to put people in a unequal situation or an unequitable situation. So just be patient. This is supposed to be enjoyable. And then if you would on Google Classroom, either share a piece of research or a tip that you found from your reading with your peers. So if you choose nutrition, read through it, and if there's something you're like, hey, that's really cool, people should know, you can share that with us. Okay? So as we endeavor on habit number 3, I hope you have found something applicable in habit number 1 and 2, and the same thing happens for number 3. And then I will see you Monday for habit number 4. Have a wonderful weekend. Please sleep well, eat well, feel well, and I hopefully will see you all soon.